So far in this unit, we've talked about how to how we can use a certain type of paper to draw three-dimensional shapes, specifically cubes or a series of cubes. And we talked about how to go from 3 dimensions to show a 2-dimension representation from 3 different views. And then we talked about how, if you're given 3 different views, how to construct a 3-dimensional object. But not all 3-dimensional objects are cubes. So we have other methods of drawing 3-dimensional objects. And one such one is a what's called a 1-point perspective, or using a vanishing point. Okay, and it's really all about like the difference between 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions is 3 dimensions has depth. Okay, so we want to show that depth. So if you look at this, you can see like what happens whenever we look at something, some object. Obviously, the nearer it is to us, the bigger it is. But the farther it is away from us, the smaller it gets. Okay? So if we look at a set of railway tracks, if you're standing on the railway tracks, making sure no trains are coming, okay? And if you look off in the distance, well, if you look close, you can see both lines of the railway tracks. But the farther you look down towards the horizon, the smaller the railway tracks get until they reach a point that basically they disappear. And that's called the vanishing point. And we use this to draw a 3-dimensional representation, or we can use that to draw a 3-dimensional representation. So for example, a rectangular solid, so like a Kleenex box or something like that. I have a class. So we want to draw a rectangular solid where we're looking directly at one face. Here's how we can use a 1-point perspective or a vanishing point. First thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the front of the rectangular solid. Which would be a rectangle. Lunch. Okay. Then what we're going to do is above the rectangular solid, we're going to draw a line, and we're going to put a point on the line. This is going to be our vanishing point. And we can put the point wherever we want. So I'm just going to put it in the middle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the 4 corners of the rectangle, or the vertices, to the vanishing point. And I'm going to use dash lines. So I'm just going to connect all these. So I've started to show depth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the top of the rectangular solid by drawing a horizontal segment. You should be able to see most of the solid now. It's here. Okay? The only thing that we add to it is, remember, there are segments coming down from these corners to make the rectangular solid. So, and I can't see them, so I'm going to draw dash lines. And there's my finished rectangular solid. It looks like this. then we've got this, and then we've got this, and then we've got this, and then we've got that. So there's the actual solid. So that's using a vanishing point to create a solid. If you are drawing a solid, and if you put the line and the vanishing point above, then your drawing, you'll be looking at it from above. So this rectangular solid, we're looking at it like from above. If you move it to the left, that means you're looking at it from the left. If you move it to the right, that means you're looking at it from the right. You can put this below, and then you're looking up at the rectangular solid. So like here. So see what happens when we move it. So this is very similar to what we just did, except here we move the point P to the right. Well, that means then that we're looking at a solid, so I'm off to the right and looking at it from above. With this one, I'm off to the left and looking at it from below. So you can draw different views. You can draw different, like all sorts of different views. You can look at it from above, from the middle, from the right or from the left. You can look at it from below, from the middle or the right or the left. And it's not just rectangular solids that we can do. We can, another thing that we can often use one-point perspectives with are block letters. So you can see how the block letters, obviously it's a little bit more complicated, but it's the same idea as the rectangular solid. So all we do is we take corners of all the letters, draw dashed lines to the vanishing point, draw another horizontal line to create the depth, and then finish it from there. This is a pretty complex one. Okay, there's one in the exercises where I've asked you to do one letter. I've asked you to try and draw, use a one-point perspective to draw one block letter. So that's using a vanishing point to draw a three-dimensional solid. You could use this with curves too, but it would be a little bit more complex. What about if we went the other way? What if you were given a three-dimensional drawing and you were asked to find the vanishing point? Here, when we draw the three dimensions, we create the vanishing point. But here, what if you have something like this? And remember, vanishing point and point of perspective mean the same thing. So here we have like, looks like a soccer field with lights. And we want to find, and it is sort of shown as three dimensions. Like you're looking at it from above and in the middle. How do we find the vanishing point? Well, we take a whole bunch of segments in the original drawing and draw them off to the top. Like, so here, this is a segment. So I'm just going to continue with a dashed line off into the distance. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and this one, and this one. And then also I can use part of the goalposts to draw. And when you draw all those, they're all going to reach some point in the distance. That's your vanishing point. So as one more example, here we have a plus sign, and we're asked to find the vanishing point. Well, all you have to do is look at segments in the three-dimensional figure. So here's a segment here. Continue it off, as straight as you can make it, into the distance. And then find other segments and do the same thing. You don't have to do, by the time you do a few of them, it should be pretty clear to you where the vanishing, whoops, that's a little off, where the vanishing point is going to be, and it's going to be up here. So it's going to be up and to the right. So that's the vanishing point, that's all. So that's just working backwards from what we just did. And that tells us that we are looking, because the vanishing point is above, that means that we're looking at this object from above, and because it's to the right, we're looking at it from the right. We're going to do that tomorrow in class. So we'll finish the unit tomorrow. So one correction in your exercise. In exercise 5.3, number 7. You're asked to draw a capital letter Y in 3 dimensions using a 1-point perspective that you view from change below to above. So go to exercise 5.3, get your exercise out. Change the last word in number 7 from below to above. That means you'll draw the vanishing point above it. So number 7, change the last word from below to above.